considering that the chanting of Japa is part of Swadhyaya, which is one of the practices mentioned in the Shastra as self-examination. There's only one thing that Prabhupada asked us to do. There are many don't do's, or 4 at least. But the one to do that you have to do is chant at least 16 rounds. And this is our responsibility. So Prabhupada writes, or he spoke, "You are under the clutches of Maya. You have no independence. Neither anyone has got any independence to save you. That is not possible. The same example I gave sometimes, that you learn how to drive airplane. So you go high in the sky, but if you're in danger, no other airplane can help you, and you are finished. Therefore, you must be a very careful pilot to take care of yourself. Similarly, in this material world, everyone individually has to take care of himself. How he can be saved from the clutches of Maya? That is Krishna consciousness movement. A teacher can give you hints. The acharya can give you hints that you can be saved in this way. But the execution of the duties, that is in your hand. If you perform the spiritual duties rightly, then you are saved. Otherwise, even acharya gives you instruction if you don't follow. So how can he save you? He can save you by instruction, but by his mercy as much as possible, but you have to take it in your hands seriously. So Japa is one of those times because we have to self-examine and see how we're chanting. And there are plenty of opportunities to examine ourselves in chanting Japa to see what is the intensity, are we finishing at an appropriate time, and so forth. And by taking that responsibility, then we can develop spiritual strength. So there are various obstacles to that. One of them is that if we are lending our ear to those who don't consider it very important, then we can be dissuaded from taking it seriously. And that's why Caitanya Mahāprabhu said that we have to regularly hear about the importance of completing the practice in order to stay serious about it. And so there's a phenomena which I like to call the Jarāsandha effect that goes like this. Just like Jarāsandha came to Mathurā and was totally defeated by Kṛṣṇa and Balārama. His armies were slaughtered 17 times. Rivers of blood were flowing. Every one of his soldiers was annihilated. But every time he walked away, Jarāsandha's ministers told him that his losing the battle was a fluke. And he should go back and try again. So the same thing happens. These same kinds of words come in a regular stream from those who are attached to the material world, that just keep trying, you'll be victorious next time. So we have to constantly hear the Sambandha Gyan from Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, who assures us that this material world's not our home, and that there's only one shelter. Take shelter of Krishna. That's why he says in the Gita, Sarvadharman Parityaja, just categorically forget the material world as a place of shelter and take shelter in me. So it's our responsibility to take advantage of japa. It's self-examination, and it's also our duty to constantly hear about the importance of it so that we can remain in a determined state of mind to complete our 16 rounds, minimum 16 rounds every day. Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Just 1 second, take a few reflections, because it's helpful to hear from the esteemed devotees who are chanting japa about the realizations they're getting. I wanted to connect a concept I just mentioned a moment ago about taking responsibility. At some point, we have to take responsibility for advancing in spiritual life. As Prabhupada pointed out, the acharya, the guru, teacher, the shastra can give us hints, but unless we take advantage of it, then we won't actually advance. There's a social law called diffusion of responsibility I just learned about yesterday that says that when a person who's a bystander to an emergency sees that there are other people around that might take part in solving the problem, then he or she doesn't take as much responsibility. It goes like this, that diffusion of responsibility refers to the fact that as the number of bystanders increases, the personal responsibility that an individual bystander feels decreases. As a consequence, so does his or her tendency to help. Thus, a bystander who is the only witness to an emergency will tend to conclude that he or she must bear the responsibility to help. And in such cases, people typically do help, but bystanders diffuse responsibility to help when others are present. So to the degree I think someone else is going to come and save me, to that degree, I think, well, maybe I don't have to chant as sincerely or take advantage as much because of diffusion of responsibility. So it's important to take this one activity especially as our sole responsibility. No one else can actually verify empirically whether somebody's chanting 16 rounds or not. Only we can verify that ourselves. No one else can verify the degree of intensity we're giving to and attention we're giving. So this is where the spiritual rubber meets the road in taking responsibility for one's japa. And I mentioned previously the fact that Jarāsandha is there, the voices from our samskars in our head and from others who might dissuade us from such intensity. And then I also mentioned the diffusion of responsibility effect and taking responsibility, and just want to see what kind of reflections anybody has from your chanting or from these principles. Okay, 1, 2, go ahead. Tim, you start. Hare Krishna. Tech support, please.
Okay, sorry. I have an example. Of course, I didn't do this, right? No, it's like the metaphor that you gave us with the plane and the pilot and not asking for help while you're in the air. I think when we've had like finals, right, in school, it's a perfect time for self-examination because the teacher hands out the finals, and you're either ready or you're not. And sometimes you could sit in the back of class and try to look over at the other person's paper, and you get caught, and the teacher says, "Oh, you get an F, and you get an F because you two are in cahoots. Because you weren't prepared, you just failed someone else next to you too, who was probably prepared and was ready for it." So I think oftentimes it's important to take care of ourselves and do the right thing, or else we could also affect other people, not just ourselves.
Yeah, nice point. In fact, on the way over here, Narakula was making a similar point about how it's not only our responsibility to ourselves to chant good japa and have spiritual strength, but to the rest of the community. Because as she was pointing out, that we're all interdependent. Nice. Thank you for extending the metaphor. Pavani Bhakti.
Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj. Please accept my most respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I really like this point of responsibility, and I was thinking about this, that especially like if you take a horse, you can take the horse till the water, but you can't make the horse drink the water. And similarly, like we can have everything ready, but there are times when we realize that, we just are not chanting for whatever the reasons are. And I was thinking about it, and it was written in the Srimad Bhagavatam that when the doctor gives you the medicine, but until Krishna sanctions it, the medicine will not make any effect on you. Similarly, if you want to chant, unless Krishna sanctions it and all the samskar, the Jarāsandha effect you said, I was thinking that probably another point where, unless you love the devotees, Krishna will not love you. So personally, I was thinking that I should just love every devotee because everyone is connected to Krishna. And then Krishna will give me that special attention and mercy and help me with the chanting more nicely and more attentively. So that was one thing I was meditating on.
That was two things, right?
Yeah.
So the first one, I didn't understand what you were saying about Krishna has to sanction us to chant.
Yeah, unless there is mercy, Krishna is, yes, we have the free will and we should take our responsibility and do it, but we need the mercy. And I was thinking, how do you get the mercy? So I was trying to connect the 2 points.
Okay, so the point is, the mercy is already extended, but we have to take it. So Prabhupada gives the example that you're a poor person and you have any money and you're suffering, and then a very wealthy person comes with a huge bag of money and then extends it to us. So then we have the choice, take it or don't take it, he said. So similarly, we need the mercy. So Krishna brings the mercy, he says, Sarvadharma Parityaja. Not only that, Caitanya Mahāprabhu comes and says, here's the holy name, take it. And then they say, well, no, you make me take it. So that's the part where it's non-mechanical. We actually have to make the decision. That makes all the difference in the world. And there is a point we talked about with Dhritarashtra, where although the Akrura brings him this proposition that's coming from Krishna, saying, just do the right thing, and we don't have to fight the war. And the Dhritarashtra says, no, thank you. And so we have to overcome that syndrome, the Dhritarashtra syndrome of thinking, like, I'm too weak, I can't take it. But that's the part where our responsibility comes in. No, you have to take it. That's your part. You're not a dead stone, Prabhupada said. You're actually a living entity, so you can make that choice. So you have to make that choice, otherwise you don't make spiritual advancement. The mercy's there, but we have to take it.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So, Guru Maharaj, I was just thinking while chanting, because it's so nice to chant with devotees. The sound is just, goes through the ear and touches the heart. I was thinking that we should, personally me, when I chant by myself, I don't chant well, and then I get disheartened very quickly that, okay, I'm not doing well, maybe I can't do well, so just let me finish it, that kind. But so I should not get disheartened and keep trying, like it's a daily thing. And I was remembering, so in India, from the place where I belong, there are like people, there's an Indian administrative service there, IAS. There's a big exam and people take it. It's very difficult, but there are families, who are below average, like, in income, or even students who are below average. They keep trying because it gives them a lot of power, a lot of wealth. They keep trying, and sometimes even 7-8 years I've seen the same kid who was like nobody, and then he would keep trying for the exam, and finally he would make it, and he would become somebody very influential. So, of course, that's not the right example here, but so they won't get embarrassed. The parents will also teach, don't get embarrassed, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. So I was thinking maybe we should apply in my chanting today.
Call the IAS. Well, you're here, that's the point. And we have to keep showing up. And as we talked about last week, try for steadiness. Don't worry about taste in the beginning, just try for steadiness. And that means do it every day, even if you don't have taste. Because there's a lot of taste that actually comes from doing one's duty, like Nathan Hale, who was executed because of his part in helping to reform government. And he said, I only regret that I only have one life to give for this, for this cause, for this higher cause. So we have to have the sense of duty, of cause. And even if we don't have taste, just rigidly do it anyway. And the taste will flow. It'll come by the mercy of Krishna. One last point. Yes.
Maharaj, I was thinking about responsibility being an attitude, actually. So we have to be conscious about everything that we are doing, and then it finally rubs off in any activity. So the devotee of the Lord becomes so conscious about the efforts he is putting in every aspect of his life that it automatically rubs into his japa also. So in that way, any activity that he does is japa, because he's responsible for, he's conscious about Krishna. So
that's a nice point. You could also say it the other way as well. If you take full responsibility for your japa as your one point, with one-pointedness, this is the most important aspect, watering the root, then it also goes into all the other ways that we work in the world and all the other things that we do. But it definitely takes practice, and that's why we come together and discuss it, to keep bringing attention back to it again and again, that this is important, this is important, this is important, because every other voice will be the ministers of Jarāsandha saying, it's not so important, there's other things you have to do right now. Shri Harinam Prabhu ki jai, Shri Caitanya Mahāprabhu ki jai, Gaur Premanande Haribol.